Florida, home of the Magic. This is Kevin Harlan with Greg Anthony and Clark Kellogg and our sideline reporter, David Aldridge.
And even Portland to some extent. A 7'5" positionless player who can very well average 5 blocks a night in his sleep, bring the ball up the court and run the break, be the most unstoppable pick and roll threat instantly off his height alone, and create for himself with a true perimeter game. It's not forced at all. We've never seen anything quite like this dude, and he's easily the most hyped prospect since LeBron and probably of my life. And if he's able to stay healthy, which kind of is a big if because of his size and the duration of the games, San Antonio is going to be relevant instantly. The Spurs basically just began their rebuild once they traded DeJounte Murray, resulting in them landing a one-in-a-generational-ass player like Wemby. But OKC, on the other hand, they may have just put the finishing touches on theirs, getting Chet Holmgren to an already loaded young core that almost made the playoffs last year. You don't normally see a quote-unquote rebuilding team that's also the youngest team in the NBA with all these future picks, and they already have a superstar in the making with SGA. Rebuilds typically look like Detroit looks right now, and Orlando, and Houston, and even Portland to some extent. They're way ahead of schedule. Not only do they have a first-team All-NBA player at 25 years old, but they have damn near a 6'8" point forward triple-double threat with Josh Giddey, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league with Lou Dort, Jalen Williams, who's versatile and was a Rookie of the Year candidate last year. That alone was damn near 500, and they almost made the playoffs. And now they're adding in Chet Holmgren. Not quite the prospect of Wemby, but bro, he's very close. Bro, in the preseason alone, and this was like the best preseason I've ever seen in my entire life, this man averaged 16 points, 5 boards, and 2 blocks in only like 18 minutes a game. That team, that rebuild, and most importantly, that rivalry between him and Wemby, that starts this year, and luckily they play 4 times. LeBron is now entering year 21. Now that UD is gone, the player that I grew up watching in the finals year after year after year is oddly the oldest player in the NBA. Probably like 65% of y'all watching aren't even 21 years old yet. And to me, that's insane. Last year, LeBron, he missed a significant amount of games with injuries. And to me, that hampered the potential of that team. Add on the fact that they completely transformed their roster in like February. And it made it hard to fully see what that team looks like, healthy, with games under their belt and experience. It was just really thrown together last minute. Now they added multiple pieces that make sense. They fit together. The main additions are all under contract, and hopefully they can stay relatively healthy. And speaking of being healthy, the team that's never healthy, it's a pretty big year for them too. 4 years ago, this was supposed to be the duo that completely took over the league with the Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan type of wings. And let's be honest, they've been very underwhelming. And most of it has been because of out of 308 possible games together between Kawhi and Paul George, they played way less than half of them. Their 4 years together has basically been a choke 3-1 lead, a Western Conference appearance without Kawhi, an entire missed season from Kawhi, and a first-round exit again last year basically without Kawhi. He's missed 11 playoff games. This is really a huge year for them because both Kawhi and PG, they can both be free agents after this year. And I don't know if you commit to them long-term, well into their 30s, if they have a 5th injury-riddled year. The only injury-free year they had was off the bubble, and they choked that. And speaking of the Clippers, bro, what about James Harden? I got a video on this man soon, but what's going on with this man's career? It feels like he's sabotaging his own career, burning yet another bridge. And does he probably have a valid point about being backstabbed or snaked, whatever? Probably so, but it feels like it's getting to the point where nobody really trusts or wants him. Reportedly, the Clippers aren't even willing to move off of Terrence Mann for James Harden. And Terrence Mann is a solid player, but bro, it's James Harden. That says a lot. If he is moved, this would be like his 3rd time being moved during the season in like 4 years. To me, that's an extremely unfortunate way to end such an iconic career. Essentially being dangled on the market and nobody really wanting you, bro. And where does this leave Philly? Bro, we have the reigning MVP entering a season yet again with his co-star throwing yet another fit. And let's be real, I'm not a big Joel Embiid fan, but his prime is panning out pretty sad. He's already looked at as like the weakest MVP ever, basically begging for that award and being the only one that's never even made the conference finals. And this year, I don't see that changing. And here's the sad part to me, and I'm sorry, Phillies fans, at least I got the Eagles, to me the best team in the NFC. Regardless of what they do with James Harden, the ceiling is the exact same. If they lose James Harden, they still can get to the second round. To me, the East is not that crazy deep. If they keep James Harden, they're not good enough still to get out the second round. So it's a bunch of drama with the exact same ceiling. Joel Embiid is basically the only one under contract after this year. And to me, it's like he's boxed in to that second round exit. And regardless of what happened with James Harden, it's not really changing. I don't think he's going to be in Philly much longer. And Dame, this man has 22 playoff wins in the last 11 seasons. The Bucks have 24 in the last 3 seasons. Dame, we know, he's never played with a defensive front quite like this. And now he's literally playing with the most winningest franchise of the last half decade. Since Giannis won that MVP like 5 years ago, no team has won more games, and it hasn't really been close. Now Dame is a part of that. And the Warriors, this may just be their last dance with the Big Three as we know them. I still don't like them losing Jordan Poole for a soon-to-be 39-year-old. And even if you're going to do that, I would have preferred them adding a big since Chris Paul enhanced his bigs. They didn't do none of that. But I guess we'll see. Kevin Durant, he's on yet another super-duper team. And it feels like there's a lot riding high on this season for him. It feels like a lot of his rivals / contemporaries have won championships since he won his last one in 2018. Kawhi, one of the big 3 small forwards of this era, he won his second in 2019. LeBron, one of his biggest rivals, won in 2020. Giannis, who seems to be challenging him legacy-wise, won in 2021, and he beat KD in 7 games. The biggest monkey he can't get off his back step, he won his 4th in 2022. Meanwhile, KD, it seems like he's been left a little bit in the dust. Still, obviously putting up godly, crazy numbers. But with this team specifically, bro, he has to win. And the reigning NBA champions, well, it still feels like they don't get quite enough respect to me. How does ESPN not have Jokic as the #1 player in the league off the run he just had? If he can't get it off of that, it's literally nothing else he can do. Nevertheless, with the confidence they had winning the championship last year and the formula they had and them having the best player on the planet, to me, they can stamp themselves as the new dynastic, boring type of Spurs team if they happen to repeat. Something San Antonio never did. My finals prediction is them versus Milwaukee. I have Milwaukee winning, but I have them in. If you guys like this video, make sure you like this video. If you made it this far, comment your finals teams and your winner. I have Milwaukee versus Denver and Milwaukee winning in about 6. Comment yours. The NBA is back. I'm so happy it's back. It felt like the offseason was boring, but also short. It's kind of weird, but I'm just happy it's over and it's back. Make sure you guys like this video. Follow my social media sites. Whatever you say, guys. And until next time, as always, Clayton.
And the layup is good.
Keeping his eyes locked in on the rim, Anthony made that hard shot look easy.
And we reach the end of the first quarter. Nets,
the 2024
2K Sports. Back in a moment.
Yeah, for the Brooklyn Nets, I know a lot of people are projecting this team to have like a fantastic defense, and I understand why you would maybe assume that just looking plainly at the personnel on the team. However, they're going to be a terrible offensive team, and I think that is going to bleed into the success of their defense, because being that terrible offensive team, they're probably not going to be a very good team as a whole, and defense is something that winning teams are going to play a lot more. There's more of a motive there. When you're a losing team, you tend to start to slip in those areas that really require a lot of effort but don't show up so much in the box score, because when you are on a losing team again, players start to have a more selfish mentality. I'm more interested in getting my numbers and all that. So I'm not expecting them to be a great defense as a result, but they do have the personnel to be a good one. I do expect them to be a bad offense, as I mentioned. A lot of that is predicated on Ben Simmons Simmons and how much better he's going to be this year, because if we got like a peak Ben Simmons, their offense could be better, but I don't expect him to get there. I do think Ben will be better than he has been in Brooklyn by like quite a substantial margin, but like all NBA, all-star, borderline top 25 player, I think that's a stretch. I think the Charlotte Hornets and their success is entirely dependent on LaMelo Ball's health. When he has played in the past, they have been pretty good, and when he doesn't, they are a disgrace. Unfortunately, speaking of disgraces, Miles Bridges is also going to be there, and that should help them in the win column. Mark Williams playing a full season as a starter will help them quite a bit, especially defensively. Terry Rozier will probably have a bounce-back year efficiency-wise, just due to not having to shoulder so much of the offense. Brennan Miller, I think, will have an okay rookie year, definitely solid contributions, but nothing that's jumping out at you. But as I said, it's all dependent on LaMelo. When he's there, they're solid. When not, they're, like I said, they're a disgrace. Speaking of disgraces, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. I actually do think they're going to be better than they were last year.
Experience powerful Dyson suction for bigger homes, with a wider, cleaner head and a bigger bin to tackle more mess. Pioneering Dyson technology. Find the right vacuum for your home.
And so it's Brooklyn with it. Tough loss coming against Cleveland in the last game.
However, I still think they will fail to be even a good playoff team. Of the young players here, I actually expect Kobe White to be the one who has a little bit more of a jump going into this season rather than Patrick Williams. I honestly was pretty disappointed with a lot of what I saw from Patrick in the preseason, but Kobe looked really, really good. He made big strides, especially as a defensive player in the previous season. So I think Kobe is going to be the one, like, real bright spot for the Bulls this year. I do like the additions of Javon Carter and Torrey Craig. I called them two of the most underrated free agents in the league before they were signed. There's a bit more of an effort for this team to shoot threes. I don't think that that's going to matter, though, because the personnel is not players that can hit those threes. 45-ish wins. It's a bit of an improvement, but I expect them to be a first-round exit one way or the other. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, I expect things to be pretty much exactly the same this year. Maybe a little bit more offensive growth from Mobley, and I expect Max Strus to be a great addition, helping their three-point shooting, but otherwise, the same team as last year. The Dallas Mavericks are a team that I'm actually putting a little bit of energy into, a little bit of investment into, because I do actually think they're going to surprise quite a few people. Now, offensively speaking, everyone expects this team to be good, but I think their defense will be a lot better than expected. I liked a lot of their additions that would help on that end this offseason, and Jason Kidd, of course, has a reputation of making a very good defense out of otherwise not amazing defensive personnel. Kyrie will have his best and most complete season since he was a Boston Celtic, maybe even since he was a Cavalier. Luka Doncic will have less impressive counting stats in prime, but it will ultimately make him a better player and the Mavericks a better team. I'm also expecting a breakout season from Josh Green, which should help them quite a bit. The Denver Nuggets are another team that I'm expecting to be pretty much exactly the same as they have been. Really, the most interesting thing about them is figuring out what their playoff rotation will be as the year goes along. I think their rookie Julian Strawther, who looked amazing in the preseason, will be in conversations for being the steal of the draft, and I think he could be in that rotation. Zeke Naji, who just got extended, will absolutely be a part of that rotation, and I think he will have a breakout year due to more opportunity. I think Julian, Zeke, and Christian Brown will be the bench pieces when the playoffs come around, but that's basically the only thing to watch for the Nuggets. Otherwise, we know who they are, and they're probably, if not my championship pick, definitely the runner-up. For the Detroit Pistons, I'm expecting to be annoyed by Detroit's center rotation because Jalen Duren is their best five by a mile, and it's an absolute joke that they are not leading with that. But other than that, I expect Jaden Ivey to be in trade rumors, which I understand if you were like outside of Pistons discussions, why that might be a little bit surprising to you because he's a young guard guard who put up pretty good numbers last year. However, those numbers were probably inflated quite a bit from not playing next to Cade Cunningham. And then from what I understand, based on the Pistons fans that I know, which is more than I think a normal person would know, they don't really seem to care for Ivy that much in that front office. And I could see him actually being talked about being discussed, talked about being traded. That is the discussion. You don't have to talk about a discussion. Whatever. You get my point. He's probably going to be in trade talks. And I'm expecting his numbers to not be as good as his rookie year because of Cade Cunningham. Speaking of Cade Cunningham, I do think that they will be a better team because he is there, but they're still going to be outside of the play-in. For the Golden State Warriors, I actually think Chris Paul is going to work out for them quite well. I was skeptical until pretty much the moment I saw it on the floor in the preseason. I like his fit there quite a lot. Another thing from the preseason I will mention is that Jonathan Kuminga looks poised for a breakout season. I feel very, very good about the Warriors this year, and I feel like if they were going to win a championship again with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, this would be the year to do it. For the Houston Rockets, I expect them to look way, 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 way better than they did in the previous 2 years, and not just because they got an obvious talent upgrade from a player perspective, but I also think that they have set themselves up internally to actually look like an NBA organization again. There's a huge coaching upgrade, coaching staff upgrade. No more AAU ball in Houston is what I'm getting at. I think Jalen Green is finally going to break out and to be a true star player and not just the prospect of a star level player. I'm talking like 25 plus points per game. I'm also expecting a lot of frustration, not just from myself, but of course Houston fans towards Amen Thompson's minutes and opportunity. And there's going to be a real push to unleash him because I think he's going to be very, very good right out of the gate. Also, Dylan Brooks is going to be bad because from what I saw from him in the preseason, he has no interest in changing his play style, and this is going to be his last contract in the NBA. I'm quite confident in that, actually. The Indiana Pacers might end up being my league pass team because I think they're going to be very fun, although that is pretty dependent on who their starting four ends up being because there's kind of a disconnect between the fun option and what might end up being the better one. The options are Obi Toppin and then their lottery pick, Jarris Walker. Toppin is the more fun option because he's just going to have a great connection with Halliburton. Honestly, from the little bit that we've seen them play together, it kind of looks like it's just going to be like a Walmart Lob City.
Here's Black. He gets it in there. Black's got the first points to start out the third quarter for the Magic.
Yeah, that's the third bucket in a row from the paint. This defense needs to clog those lanes in the middle.
Right now, let's send it over to the sidelines and get a report from David Aldridge.
Thank you, Kevin. The Orlando Magic is rolling out with some long and rangy athletes. They've got some size and the foundations of an identity. One scout recently said, everyone talks about playing positionless basketball, but they're the only ones who have really said, what the heck, let's do it. Kevin?
They've got a type, don't they, David? Thank you. Big group substitution here for Brooklyn.
Nicholas Claxton, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Spencer Dinwiddie.
That'll be a 5-second call.
And you can tolerate gaffes like that sometimes, but in a close game, man, I tell you what, that really hurts.
They're going to turn it over. They couldn't get it in bounds that time. Unable to get the ball in bounds. They get called for the 5-second violation.
Well, it seems like he's gotten a little loose with it since halftime. His fingers may be a little slick or slippery. He went from no turnovers in the first half to quite a few here in the second.
Bridges shot. Good.
Really rare to see a guy that's 6'11" have the kind of elite passing skills that Ben Simmons has. Really, really impressive.
Well, they're still young, but the Magic, Greg, are becoming one of those league pass teams. Like people want to watch them.
Yeah, I mean, they've got some players, leaving aside any rooting interest on my part, they've got some young fellas that are definitely intriguing to watch.
Now a timeout called by Orlando.
Diabetes is a one-size-fits-all. Candy gives you the freedom to manage your diabetes on your terms. I love this product because it works for me. I'm 65 to 50. So you can also look for a 6-year-old.
Player opposed to just making it all about him, they was doing things with the flow of the game. When you get into foul trouble, you got to be extremely careful so you don't foul out. For a guy to have 5 fouls and still be in the game and didn't pick up his 6th foul in the late 4th quarter, that's maturity. I'll take that all day long, Skippy. You talk about him being aggressive. Well, I mean, how much more aggressive do you want him to be? The guy's 210 pounds.
He just doesn't play in the paint.
Okay, but he played the 4 for them last night when Zach Collins was essentially the 5.
Yeah, he actually plays the 3. He's a small forward.
Yeah. Or you got to look at it like this. He plays on a young team. For most young teams, you got 5 or 6 guys who are still trying to prove themselves. So they're trying to get their numbers. They're trying to establish themselves as NBA players. And then think about it. If you're a first or second-year player and Wemby coming in, you like, I don't know about all that hype you got, but, I've been here a couple of years, so, I'm not sure if I want to really pass you the ball. That's what it kind of looked like.
I got it.
That's what it kind of looked like. It looked like a glorified pickup game because they really didn't get into a lot of sets. A lot of guys were going one-on-one, but when they got into a set, when they ran a play for him, he delivered. When they ran the pick and roll and threw it at the rim, he dunked the ball. When he ran the court, they actually looked for him, he was productive. And so his offense is great, but I think his defense is way ahead of the curve right now, and I think that's where he'll show his biggest impact for the simple fact that guys are still trying to establish themselves, still trying to make a name for themselves in the NBA, and they're going to be going for theirs, and so his biggest impact is going to be on the defensive side.
Even though he did block only the 1 shot, and it's like playing center field where you're just sort of standing in the middle of the lane and you swoop out. You're going
inside the fuck up, nigga, you trash.
Kyrie's, because Kyrie took like a 15-foot jumper. Is actually Dallas's first shot of the game, if we could see it again. But that's the only block that he had.
But he altered a number of shots. He changed the trajectory of people's shots. Even on Kyrie, he stepped out of Kyrie at the 3, and Kyrie shot the ball over him right there. That's what happened right there. You can't even see the rim when that guy's flying at you.
No, 7 feet, and he's 8 feet long. So the length and the agility we've never seen in combination before, right? Those two things together. Okay? Yeah. How many free throws did he shoot? Again, to Keyshawn's point, only 23 minutes, but he shot 1 free throw the whole night and missed that. But he's a good free throw. He'll be a 70-some%, maybe 80% free throw shooter. I don't have any problem with that because that stroke is pure as it can be. But the point is, he's not attacking the rim. He's not demanding the ball at the rim. And to your point, Paul, maybe not that San Antonio has any all-stars on their roster, you know, who are saying, prove it to me, kid. Like nobody else has proven much either in the NBA. But I see way more French pastry than meat and potatoes in his games. Right? Well, seriously. He's 7'4". He plays outside. Am I right? I don't care. I've been watching him every game. I've seen every summer league. I've seen all the preseason. Keyshawn, I've been watching him. And I've said this repeatedly on the show. Well, no, it's 4 games, kid. Okay, I'm going to repeat it again. It wasn't until 6:53 remained in the game that he took a shot that was not a 3. He is 7 feet 4 inches tall. Please explain. Please explain.
Because he can shoot the 3. Okay, and he can shoot it well. A lot of that has to do with San Antonio putting him in position, though. I mean, like I said, we didn't see that because he's comfortable on the perimeter. But they got to say, hey, we got to get him the ball closer to the rim. Let's get him at the free throw line elbow a little bit to where he can operate on one dribble, make a pass from there. But we didn't see that. So a lot of this is just go out there and play, and we'll figure it out where your spots at and on the run. That's what it really looks like.
And if he's comfortable in that, Skip, don't take it away from him.
Well, I mean, that's what he likes that. His comfort zone is outside the lane and also beyond the arc.
He's the one picking the draft because of that. So now all of a sudden you want to turn him in to the diesel. That's not what the NBA is. That's not his strength.
All right, if Shaquille O'Neal was 19 years old right now, he would make the NBA that way because I've never seen anything like it before. I don't care what you say. When Shaq from 19...
For the lead, Orlando grabs the miss.
Until about 25, there's never been an offensive force like him. It was hard to watch, and it was impossible to referee, but I've never seen anything like it before. Yeah. This is the flip side of that.
Different NBA than when Shaq came into the league.
Doesn't have to be.
There's only 2 posts.
Wait a second. Time out. Wait a second. What does LeBron James do at almost 39 years of age? He freight trains to the basket like nobody, and he is impossible. He plays bully ball. He played it the other night.
Because he has to.
Okay, because he's
His shot is not the same.
He is that.
He doesn't have the deadly 3 like these other guys in the league today.
I mean, this kid's a way better shooter than LeBron ever thought about being.
That's why he's shooting.
LeBron goes to the hole.
I've been trying to explain to you. You keep telling me LeBron's the GOAT and he can't shoot. How can you have a GOAT who can't?
You're not going to turn this conversation into LeBron because you want to.
I'm asking, but you tell me it's today's NBA. You don't do. That's what
LeBron James is on his way out of today's NBA.
No, he isn't.
What do you mean he's not? What do you think he's going to play another 5 more years?
He might. He looks great to me.
There's no fabulous.
Yes.
But he's not playing.
Wait. You kept arguing to me before the year started. He's going to average just what he did last year. Whatever it was, 27, blah, blah, blah.
He played 20. He played 20. I don't want to turn into a LeBron conversation.
Talking to women.
Yeah, you want to turn.
We're talking about bully ball.
No, he's not ready for bully ball.
LeBron played 23 minutes the other night. He was +7. Okay, he had 0 turnovers. He scored 21 points.
Yeah.
They put him on a minutes restriction. Now give him the full 38 or whatever he would normally play. He's going to average 30 points a game.
I agree. Nobody can keep him from the rim. Okay,
that's not the NBA.
It is too. That hadn't changed. Come on, stop. If that's who you are and you can do that, you do that. I'm sorry, Jokic dominates at the rim. It looks soft, but it ain't soft. I'm sorry, he is a powerful human being.
And he also shoots the 3.
Sometimes he does. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sometimes LeBron shoots the 3. Every once in a while he goes on some hot jag where he just goes crazy for a while. Right? Yes. This is not about LeBron. Okay. No, it's not. But I'm surprised Paul is so bullish on this kid because there's no bull in the kid. I don't see it at all. It's all soft. It's all perimeter. It's all.
That's what the league is today. It's a Steph Curry KD league. That's what it's turned into. Look at Porzingis. Yeah. What do we see Porzingis do? He shot 5 feet behind the 3, 7'4".
You think this kid will be way better than Porzingis? Because Porzingis is really good. He was really good last night, and he has been quietly really good for 10 years in this league. Because I look at Porzingis' numbers. He's averaged 20 and 8 rebounds and 2 blocks a game. Porzingis protects the rim like crazy. He's changing the way Boston plays. He can, listen, he was a force last night. As Jason Tatum said after the game, he is really, really good, and we are thankful we have him.
I can see a lot of Wemby.
Yeah,
Porzingis.
It is.
Definitely.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't post up much.
No,
he's effective.
No, same idea. And he is 7 feet 3 inches tall, so he's about an inch shorter than Wemby.
Look at that. He's blocking jumpers from the guard, the man in the corner blocking the free throw jumper.
No, he can do that. he can play.
So you want him to put the ball on the floor right there and go to the cup?
No, I want him to post up a little bit because he's just too tall to stop.
Posted up. They didn't even look for him.
No,
they didn't even look for him, though.
Because I don't think they think he can do that or wants to do that. That's how it came across to me. Like, that's not.
They're not
that's the case.
action.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the
Paul,
case.
Do you think you could have guarded him last night? Would you have guarded him? Because a guy right out of your mold guarded him.
We asked ourselves, like, who's the type of player that you can have guard him? Because you need a guy who's mobile, who can kind of move his feet.
Absolutely.
Don't worry about challenging his shot. You just got to hope you can put a body on him, discourage him from getting to the rim. Because like you said, he does line up on the perimeter a lot. And he doesn't show his presence in the post. Because if he showed his presence in the post, he could be dominant, like you said. Because there's nothing that I would be able to do with him if he cut across the lane, put his hands up, and demanded the ball, and just go up and lay the ball up pretty much every time. But he's not. That's not his game.
One game.
No, it's not. This has been a pattern.
Bringing him along slowly.
Keyshawn, you got to understand. Grant Williams is guarding you mostly the whole game. He is 6'6". If I'm 7'4" and I look down, way down, and I got a 6'6" guy on me, I'm saying, please.
Of course.
What does Jack always say? Wait a second. Mouse in the house? Would that be mouse in the house? I just say, give me the ball.
Questioning his heart, Skip.
No, I'm not questioning his heart. I'm questioning his aesthetics. You know, his sort of view of the game. He sees himself. Yeah, his mindset is I'm a dribbler. I'm a shooter. I told you, he thinks of himself as a two-guard.
That's the way he grew up in France.
He did.
In that way.
He did.
He's now in the United States. It takes time to get that out your mind. They're bringing him along slowly.
I just think naturally as a big guy, think about a big brother, little brother situation, though. It's like when you're that big, you should be like, the closer I get to the rim, the easier it's going to be for me. And I get what you're saying. He does have the skill set to put it on the ground.
He does.
Shoot a pull-up jumper, shoot a three, but me, if I was 7'4" and I could still do all those things, I would look to say, hey, man, look, this dude is 6'6". Get it to me at the rim, and I'm just going to go up and lay it up. I mean, that's just a natural instinct. Think about it, if you play a little kid, and you can shoot three balls. Because he's going to be playing little kids every night.
In the league, so you smaller, we're going to take advantage of you. But it's time to understand where your game is at versus these other kids that you're playing against. And I understand, Skip, you saw him in the summer. You saw him in the preseason. He didn't impress you because he was
it's not. I told you the skill set on the perimeter is extraordinary. We've never seen anything like this before. But I'm saying, when you're that tall, you have an advantage nobody's ever had before.
No one is saying he doesn't know that he doesn't have that he has the advantage. He understands he has the advantage. But you're also asking Popovich them to put him in the right situation. You saw when they drew up the play for him on the turnaround, boom. As soon as he caught it, boom, knocked it down. They drew that up for him, I'm sure. A month from now, we're going to see him down low at times, give him the ball. It's one game.
That's one game. When he understands he's 7'4", that's when he'll be dominant.
There you go. Speaking of one game, I'll never forget that one game that night in Sacramento when I watched him. And he already had his quote-unquote man body. He was playing physical basketball in the post, at the rim, and I was in awe of it because I've never seen a kid that young and that, so to speak, physically immature. You would think at that point, just step on an NBA floor and say, I'm here. I have arrived. Did I see that from Wemby last night? I did not. I didn't see that. LeBron, people were afraid of him from day one. This is at Sacramento. Go look it up. 25 points on opening night. So that's what I was judging it by. Okay, show me that sort of dominance where you scare people. To Paul's point.
Pass Wagner. And here we go. Smith's got it. The fast break chance.
Good morning. It's easy S1. Skip every day snack. If you ain't got no haters, you ain't poppin'. I ain't trying to hate. Let's have a jog in the brand debate. I got candidates looking on the day. My diamonds say what they gotta say. If you think it's a game, I commentate. I ain't gotta play. On in the morning.
For bad news for the 49ers, Brock Purdy in concussion protocol. Kyle Shanahan said there's still a chance Purdy can pass that protocol and play Sunday at home against Cincinnati. Purdy did play the entire game Monday night at Minnesota, but showed concussion symptoms, they said, on the flight home. Michael Irvin, we welcome you into the show. If Brock Purdy cannot play Sunday, how much trouble are the 49ers in?
Well, let me tell you why I say I believe that the 49ers can still skate this game, man. Let's look at this, guys. Isn't this a different look than what we thought when we saw this on the schedule at the beginning of this season? You were going to get Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, that whole group going up against the San Francisco 49ers defense. I was like, wow, I can't wait to see that game. I can't wait to see